I suppose the first thing I should say is I am not a doctor or any type of medical professional that should be giving professional advice, but this video is more or less just what really worked for me and what I found had results. So just keep that in mind as you continue watching. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on this video. So today, as you can tell by the title, I'm coming to you with some information that really helped me with my breast pump. I found that once I stopped direct feeding our son, breastfeeding our son, and going strictly to pumping, I ran into a few issues. And now that we are almost at the 2-month mark for our baby boy, I have come up with a few things that really helped me with my breast pump journey. So I have the Spectra S1 Plus, which is the blue Spectra. And what I love most about that is that it has a rechargeable battery. I can't tell you how many times that has saved me or come in handy. So I really recommend that breast pump. So basically you can charge it, and the things that I have done with it is that my charging station is in the nursery upstairs. So downstairs during the day, I bring it down. I have a little tote. I'm going to show you guys a couple of things on the actual breast pump after this little face-to-face tutorial. So you'll see what I mean in a second. But I have a little gray tote, and it fits the breast pump, the tubing, and the bottles. So it's easily brought downstairs during the day and upstairs at night to charge. I do charge it every night, but I have ran it fully to the battery dying so that I could test, and it goes 4 days with using it 4 to 6 times a day during the day and twice during the night. So that's a decent amount of time for the battery. I pump anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes depending on how my letdown cycle is going. So I have used it downstairs, not charged, plugged into the wall charging, but my favorite thing to do with it is actually take it in the car. And when my husband drives, I'll sit in the back seat, which is tinted windows, and I'll pump on our way to wherever we're going. So it's really come in handy, especially when Rory was a newborn, first couple of weeks. I mean, technically he's still a newborn. He's only 8 weeks old. But yeah, the first couple of weeks was really helpful because I couldn't direct feed him while he was in the car seat while we were driving, but I could pump. But every Thursday I have a date night with my mom, and so I go over to my mom's house anywhere from 2:30 in the afternoon or 5 in the afternoon, depending on what her day is like at work and when she gets home. And it's great that I can bring it there and have that readily available without being stuck to a plug in the wall. But anyways, let's get to the point of the video and the things that have helped me. So like I said, I'm going to show you the breast pump in just a minute and show you the different settings that I'm going to be talking about. But with my breast pump, there is a letdown cycle and then a pumping cycle. And the letdown cycle is basically like what would be your baby suckling on your breast when they first start feeding. It's that really it's not really the swallowing motion that they're doing. It's more or less just that really small, shallow suckling, I think, they refer to it in the hospital. And that is what really in the early days brings in your milk supply. So they could be suckling on the breast directly forever and be like, come on. But really, that's actually really good. That's bringing in your milk supply. And then also on the breast pump is the actual pumping motion. And so with my breast pump, you hit the button once to turn the machine on, and then you have to hit the button for the letdown cycle. And what I found is that doing the letdown cycle for about 5 minutes has been super helpful and beneficial to me for getting more of a milk supply. So I do that cycle for about 5 minutes, and I do it on a setting of 3. I think 3 is the highest that it goes for the letdown cycle. Then I switch over, and it is a little bit of a learned trade here because you do have to hit the button again to get it to go into the pumping cycle. So I have actually mastered holding the cups with one arm while I hit the button on the machine. But like I said, our son is 8 weeks old and I have learned a few tricks over the last few weeks. So I hit that again, and there are different cycles of pumping that you can choose on the Spectra. And what I have found is that 54 for the cycle number is the best. And then for the strength, when I first started breast pumping, I only could handle a strength of 3. I've actually worked myself up to an 11 now, so you know, don't start at 11 if you're brand new to breast pumping because it will hurt. But I have worked my way up over the last few weeks to a higher number and whatnot. So again, I'll show you the breast pump in just a second and you'll know what I mean. So yeah, and I will breast pump on the 54 cycle for my first 2 letdowns. Now, for some of you that don't know what a letdown is, basically the letdown is, you'll see it when you're pumping, but basically your milk is coming out, you know, pretty steadily in a flow, and then it's like it stops. It's like, where did it go? What happened? I can't be done. And that's normal. You will go for a certain amount of time, and everybody is different, so it's really hard to give you a number. But my letdown cycles for the amount of time that I'm not actually pumping any milk is usually 3 to 5 minutes. So I'll still pump. You keep the breast pump and everything going, and you keep the cups on the breast because that's completely normal. But what will happen is once your cycle is done, you will start again at getting milk. And so I go through 2 of those cycles, and then I change it back to the small little suckling motion cycle. So the one that's the cycle of 70. And I'll do that for another few minutes, and then I will switch back to the cycle of 54 and pump for another letdown cycle. So they say when you're breast pumping, you should try and go through 2 to 3 full cycles of pumping. So like I said, mine can be anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. It really depends on the day, how much water I'm drinking, how much food I've ate. I'm really pretty bad about eating, being at home because I have so much to do around this house. It is definitely a fixer-upper for sure. For some of you that are not subscribed to my channel, if you were subscribed, you'd see our house is a farmhouse fixer-upper, so I find myself keeping myself busy during the day with doing a bunch of things, and unfortunately I neglect eating too much, unfortunately. But so depending on my habits will depend on how my cycle of breast pumping is going, believe it or not. So let me go grab my breast pump and I will show you what I am talking about. I'm going to run upstairs really quickly without you guys because the little man is sleeping in the nursery. I don't know if you guys can see him in there, but we are trying to get him to start sleeping in the nursery at least 1 nap a day. I try and do the morning nap so that it's like kind of quiet for him, but not super quiet. And then the evening naps, he kind of just naps in the living room so that he can get like accustomed to sounds and stuff like that. And if he's up, then it kind of gives us a little bit more sleep at night when he actually does go to bed. But anyways, let me run and get that breast pump and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So this is the little tote that I was telling you that the breast pump fits perfectly in. So I'm just going to turn the camera around and point it down at the breast pump so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's the breast pump here. It's the Spectra, and let's see, it is the S1 Plus. I don't know if you guys can see that very good, but all right, so here is where the tubes get plugged in. I use both tubes at the same time. Some people will just use one tube and cap off the other one so they pump one side at a time, but I do not do that. I do not have enough time to do that. So here are the pieces here that plug into your cup. My cups were just washed, so they're a little wet, so don't mind that. Okay, so basically here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my breast pump on with the button, and you're going to hear it going during this little tutorial here. But as you see, when it first gets turned on, it's a cycle of 54, and my my vacuum level is 11. And like I said, when I first started, it was like a 3. So I've worked my way up. But anyways, so when you first turn on the machine, you're going to want to hit this button here with the little 3 wave patterns. And do you see how that number turned to 70? This is that letdown cycle. That is like the suckling motion that you would get with direct feeding. And this is what I leave on for about 5 minutes. Then, once 5 minutes has gone by, you have to hit this button again, and that number changes back to 54, and this is actually the pumping portion. You can change the cycle number. It goes all kinds of numbers here, but 54 is as high as it goes, and that is by far the best cycle I have found that works. And like I said, your vacuum level, you can go and do whatever number you want. The higher the number, the louder the pump machine is. So that is kind of the little tricks there. And then this little spot back here, the bottles do fit in it, but I actually don't use it for that. I keep my nipple butter, and I actually just use the Honest Company nipple butter. It is really good, and I keep it in the back there. And this goes a really long way, so I have not used very much of this. But I've also actually used it as chapstick in the middle of the night, because I don't know if any of you guys are currently breastfeeding. I get wicked dry lips in the middle of the night when I'm breastfeeding or pumping, so I just keep it there. But something else that I did want to share with you guys that I found super useful from a different video that I watched was the replacement, here, let me turn this off. The replacement duckbills for the machine here. So these little pieces here. I actually got this set here. I'll link it below. I don't know if it's gonna focus. But I got this off of Amazon, and these work so much better than the ones that come with the pump. So I used the ones that came with the pump for the first month, but then I ended up buying these on Amazon and replaced them. And I feel like it just gets a tighter seal around the nipple area, and I found that it drew a little bit more milk. I mean, it wasn't night and day, but I think that it did better. So I did that, and that really was helpful. The other thing that I really recommend is buying like replacement parts, so that you're not having to constantly wash everything. So we actually have 2 sets of everything so that we can wash them in between uses. So anyways, let me turn you guys back around. So there we have it. Those are my tips for you guys about what I found useful for my breast pump, and I hope that this is helpful for a few of you guys that maybe are looking to my dogs are being so cute. I'm gonna show you. They're cuddling. So anyways, I hope this has been helpful for you guys that may want to know what setting to set your Spectra at, or maybe try a couple of different cycle numbers and a couple different vacuum numbers on your breast pump while you're pumping to see what is going to aid you the most milk. I do not have a very good milk supply, but these few things keep my milk supply very steady, and that is super, super helpful. So anyways, thank you so much for tuning in, and if you're not already subscribed and are interested in mommy videos, haul videos, and some kind of DIY fixer-upper type videos, make sure to subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. See you guys.